What's going on, everybody? As always, welcome back to another video. I have a great one for you today that I particularly enjoy because it's around money, wealth, finances, and it's coming from one of my favorite all-time books, The Richest Man in Babylon. I recommend this book to you guys all the time, and if you've ever spoken to me, if you've worked with me in any capacity, you would know it's one of my favorite books, one of the classics that I've read 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and it's a book that I'll continue to read. It's a very short read, but packed with knowledge, packed with value, and it's a book that a lot of the books that came after it around money, finances, principles of money, the laws of money, the rules of money and wealth were really just, a plagiarism of this book. It was really a lot of the same principles and foundations that a lot of the other well-known books that came after it were preaching, and I'd rather go to the source and learn from the core of where these principles and values and foundations in money and wealth and finance come from, and I'd rather study that for myself. And today I want to share with you the 5 laws of money and wealth, as it's said in the book, the 5 laws of gold. And really, these laws will serve you well. I'm going to tie them in with more recent examples, with more modern examples, and elaborate on each one for you so that you really get the idea, you really get the understanding. And my hope for you is that you start to apply these rules or these laws of money and wealth to your life immediately. I mean, you should be taking notes and starting to implement these immediately. And as a first step, you should be picking up this book immediately as well. It's going to be a ton of value to you, and one day you can continuously revisit. So without further ado, make sure to smash that like button if you like money, if you like wealth, if you like building your wealth, if you like expanding on your financial education. Make sure to smash that like button. Of course, comment your thoughts below or any follow-up questions you might have on these 5 laws of money and wealth. And on that note, subscribe to the channel as well, and let's get right into it. So I actually want to read these laws of money and wealth to you one by one, and what I'll do is I'll actually elaborate and explain for you right after I read it out loud. So rule or law number 1 of money and wealth is gold cometh gladly in an increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. First things first, it's the classic 10% rule. So it comes from the same place. And this really ties in with a fundamental of paying yourself first. So anytime in your sales career, in your business, when you're getting money in, what you want to do is first, before you do anything else, pay yourself 1/10 of that. So you want to pay yourself, you want to put that percentage aside for yourself, and then you want to handle your expenses and anything else that you might need to handle afterwards. So the number 1 law of money and of wealth is to pay yourself first, at the very minimum 1/10 of every dollar, every penny, or whatever it is that comes in. And that way you're always taking care of your future. You're always saving in order to follow the next laws that are coming up here in a second. And that just sets you up with the fundamentals. So first things first, you always put aside 1/10 of every single dollar or penny that comes into your belonging, and you pay yourself first before you do anything else. And 10% is the minimum. 1/10 of your earnings is the minimum amount. You want to obviously increase that to 20, 30, 40% and more as well if you can do that. And the more you can put aside and pay yourself first right off the bat, the better it is, and the more it sets you up to multiply that wealth, which we're going to get to here in a second. So that's law number 1 of money and wealth. So law number 2 of money and wealth says, gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Gold, aka money, wealth, works for you and labors for you if you're the owner who knows how to find the right employment for it in order to multiply it, as it states here. So in that case, it would be if you know where to place your money so that it would be a wise investment and that money multiplies for you and works for you. I think the deeper principle to understand here is that your money should be working for you. And, there's another saying that's a very old saying that goes hand in hand with this, which says money is a terrible master and a great servant. And that's what you want with your money. You want it to serve you. You want it to multiply and work for you. But this law number 2 states that it will only do that for you if you're an owner who knows how to find proper employment, in the words of the book itself, for your money. So That's law number 2. And I'm going to keep going because a lot of the other laws tie into investing your money diligently as well. So I'll elaborate more as we go, but that's law number 2. So law number 3 of money and wealth states that gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. So this is a very relatable example to today's world, today's society, and what people are doing with their money. You probably hear this a lot. People delegate their funds, their money, their capital that they've saved up and worked hard for to funds, to whether it be index funds, whether it be to Wall Street for some money manager to invest it for you and take their fees and collect everything they collect, or, whether it be in some new hotshot investment that your uncle's telling you about or your friend is telling you about. It's just your money is often in today's society passed on to people who aren't wise enough to invest that for you correctly, or they just have, bad intentions in mind. They want to collect their fees, their commissions, and they really have zero interest of yours at heart. And the first thing they're looking at is how much money they can make off investing your money or off their fund or whatever else it might be. So law number 3 says that the people that get to keep their money and wealth, hence the word clingeth, are the people that are able to put their money and wealth into the hands of wise men, as it states in this quote here in this law. But wise people who are money managers, investors, or if you're going to delegate your money, your funds, and if you're not going to learn about the investing space, you're not going to learn about whatever vehicles that you want to multiply your money in, you are going to keep your money. You're going to do better with your money and with your wealth over the long term if you delegate that to wise people who know how to handle your money. So law number 4 of money and wealth is one I particularly love because it's one that Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, some of my favorite investors and intellects that I like to listen to and model when it comes to the investing space, the investing world, have been preaching for a long time. So I'm very familiar with this one and I can elaborate on it for you. So let me just read it out to you. Law number 4 says, gold slippeth away. So this is where you're losing your money. From the man who invested in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Very simply put, this is classic Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett advice on money, wealth, and investing, which is you do not want to go out of your circle of competence. So you want to stay within your circle of competence. You want to draw a very fine line with your circle of competence to know what you understand and what you don't understand, where you have a unique advantage, unique information, unique knowledge, connections, whatever it might be that allow you to know more than the broader market, that allow you to know where the right investments are. And as long as it's within your circle of competence, you truly understand the business model, or you truly understand that investment or that asset class or whatever it might be, then you can actually invest in that. So very simply put, if you want to be successful over the long term with your money and with your wealth, and if you don't want it to slippeth away from you, as the book says, you want to stay within your circle of competence. And law number 5 is just a great one to bring this lesson home, and I'll read it to you here and then I'll elaborate on it again. Gold flees the man, so it's going to flee the man, it's going to leave the person who would force it to impossible earnings. So really looking for impossible returns, wanting to bet heavily on something that is not necessarily within reason or within, again, circle of competence or within understanding. So to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusted to his own inexperience and romantic desires and investment. So this one, again, is extremely in line with today's world, with today's society, with what we see with different up-and-coming asset classes that may very well be extremely valuable in the long run. And I believe a lot of them will be. But for the time being, we don't know who the winners will be and who the losers will be. So a lot of people like to follow the crowd, follow the masses. There's a very famous book, The Madness of Crowds. There are other books on the investing space that go over the last 200, 300, 400 years of investment history and talk about all the booms and busts and exactly what happens in the bubbles that have occurred and the tulip mania and everything else that come with it. So those tricks and schemes and things that are always happening, or your own romantic desires, foregoing logic, foregoing your circle of competence, not really stopping to think, do I actually know this investment? Is this a low risk, high return investment? Is there a moat here with this investment or this asset class? Meaning, that it can keep out competition, meaning that this investment or this asset class cannot easily be disrupted. That's what a moat is when it comes to business. You're looking at all these different factors, right? If you're investing in businesses, aka stocks, really you're buying the business underlying the stock. So it's not necessarily just stocks. You're actually investing in businesses. You own a piece of that business. So if that's what you're doing, do you know if the management is competent? Do you know what their plans are? Do you know if they're doing buybacks and why? For what purpose? Because sometimes buybacks are great, sometimes they're not so great. So just really understanding all of these different elements of your investments, of the different asset classes, and where you're putting your money and your wealth, where you're allocating your money to and expecting it to grow. And is that a logical investment that is low risk, high return within your circle of competence, or is that just a romantic desire? Is that a scheme or the, as I said, madness of crowds that you're falling into and you're just essentially following suit? So really ask yourself that question, and that wraps up law number 5. So there you have it, everyone. Those are the 5 laws of gold, as it says in the book, but I call it the 5 laws of money and wealth, just to make it more modern for us in today's world, in today's society. I hope that helped. I hope that's something you registered. I hope you go pick up this book and read it over and over and over again for yourself. But I wanted to really add a more modern touch, a personal touch from my experiences of reading all these books behind me, and the likes of Buffett and Munger and Dalio and Monish Pabrai, and just all these different people that I'm using to educate myself on this space. And I wanted to add that personal touch to it as well and elaborate on these laws of money and wealth for you, so that you can start to think correctly. As you're in sales, as you're in business, the number one focus is always to generate the revenue, is to close the deals, get the money, generate the revenue. But when you do that, what do you do after? And these 5 laws of money and wealth are a perfect starting point, and they're perfect for you to follow them in the right sequence as well, because the laws have been sequenced accordingly. So it goes from 1 to 5, and those are the sequences and steps that you should be following them in. So I hope you got a ton of value out of that. I hope you enjoyed it as I did, and the 2 million plus other people who have bought this book have enjoyed it. More than 2 million copies sold. I'm selling this book like it's my own, but it's not. I just really like it that much. And, make sure to go pick up that book and take in the lessons, the laws of money, the laws of wealth. And my hope for you is for you to build your own financial independence, build your own financial freedom, and be able to, like I always say, live a truly fulfilled life on your own terms. Do whatever you want, whenever you want, however many times you want, with whoever you want, and truly enjoy that freedom, enjoy meaningful relationships, enjoy meaningful experiences in your life. And that's really all I can hope for you. And on that note, I hope you got a ton of value out of this. Make sure to smash that like button. If you like money, if you like wealth, if you like financial freedom, smash that like button so more people can see this. Comment below what your thoughts were. And of course, subscribe to the channel. And on that note, I'll see you in the next video.